Time for more training with iTween for Unreal Engine 4. But first, in previous videos, we've been using the level blueprint to be the MC of all of our iTween operations. And I've been having a lot of crashes lately, and I've been wondering what it was. And it turns out that it is using the level blueprint. So what we're going to do is set up a separate blueprint, and I'm going to do this all on camera so that way everyone can see exactly how to do this in case you aren't familiar. Create a new blueprint of type actor, name it whatever, throw it in the scene, I have a few others that I was just experimenting with before. That's the only one we need. Going to open that up, begin play, pull out a sequence, get game mode, cast it, hook it up, and pull out the iTween object. Then, although this part isn't necessary to use iTween, I'm just going to make sure that it is done for future videos in which we do some UMG stuff. Our test widget, and add to viewport. Then I need to make sure that this blueprint will accept input, so that way when I press the V key, things will happen. And I'm going to add some variables. Chair right of type actor, chair left, table, and floor. Make these all public. Compile. Then head over to my scene inside of the details panel and set the corresponding actors to the variables and floor. Great. Now we're ready to go. So we're going to be stopping, pausing, and resuming tweens. And there's one thing I want to point out. When you are calling stop, pause, and resume, you may see things like this: internal actions, do not call. And that means that these actions are what I use internally to stop, pause, and resume the actual tweening objects. These all use this. So these will all, after you call them, end up calling this by passing in some information. You can call these if you want. It says do not call, but I mean, the FBI isn't going to break down your door or anything. They're just not going to do anything at all for you. Without knowing where to look, these stop, pause, and resume tween operations are useless. So that's why I put them in their own separate categories so you wouldn't get confused and try to call them. These are the ones, these are the 5, and possibly more in the future that you're going to want to call. Interface messages, part 2. In the previous video, we talked about the first set of interface messages, such as on start, on complete, on tick, and on loop section. Now we're going to talk about how to stop, pause, and resume iTween operations by using the second set of interface messages. When it comes to using interface messages, this set is a little different. Normally you would go and turn on your IT interface, but you don't really need to in this situation. The reason being, you should just be pulling them straight out of the iTween object. And we have a whole bunch of different options here, like stop all tweens, which will stop every single tween that is in the scene and currently going. Stop tweening by actor name, which will take the actor name of the currently tweening actor. This may change in the future to allow for the names of components and the names of UMG widgets, but for right now is just name of actor, and it has to be the exact name that you see in the scene outliner. So if we wanted to stop chair right, we would have to get chair right's name, copy that, and paste that in. Exactly as it appears. Case sensitive. We also have stop tweening by index. And whenever you create a tween, it is added to an index, not an index, an array of currently tweening objects. And when that tween ends, its spot is freed up. So let's say that you have 3 tweens. You start them all one after another. You have the first tween becomes tween 0. Its index is 0. The second tween is tween 1, and the third tween is tween 2. And those numbers correspond to their indices, of course. So if you were to start them all and then call stop tweening by index on index 0, then it would stop the first tween, but 2 and 3 would continue on. If you let them run out and the first one, index 0, runs out just by finishing its tween, then it will be removed from the list, but the other tweens that are still alive will not collapse, meaning tween 1 will not become tween 0, tween 2 will not become tween 1. They will stay where they are. 1 will stay 1 and 2 will stay 2. 0 will just be available for another tween that might come and take its place. So you don't need to worry about the numbers shifting or anything like that. As long as you remember which tween it is that you want to stop by index, then this is another option for you. There is also stop tweening by object reference, in which you can pass in an object reference, which would be the actor to move or something like that, component to move, widget to move. You would pass directly into this object currently tweening, and if there is an iTween object in the array that has an object that is tweening that matches this, then it will stop that tween. And then lastly, we have stop tweening by tween name. And when you start a tween, you have the option of giving that tweening operation a name. So you can pass in that same name and it will stop that tween. So let's get our hands dirty by stopping some tweens. So starting with the V key, it's going to fire it off, and we're going to move chair right. So I'm going to drag off my tween and bring in move from 2. So we're going to set it off with the V key, put that into actor to move, and I'm going to pass in get actor location. For some reason I need to turn off context sensitive in 4.5. So what this tween is going to do is it's going to take the chair that's on the right in its spot in the air and then move it toward the world origin. It should take 5 seconds to do, and we are going to loop it back and forth. So it should come to the world origin and then go back to where it was. So what if we want to stop this then? We can use the C key. I'm sorry, the C key is actually bound to something else. I'm going to use the M key instead to stop all tweens in the scene. So V key starts the tween, M key stops all tweens. Since there's only one tween in the scene, that's the one that gets stopped. Instead, we can try stop tweening by actor name. The actor that we're moving is chair right. Its name is chair right with a space in the middle. So, start it and stop it. And just to prove that you need the name to appear exactly as it is, I'm going to make this lowercase r. I'll try it again. V, and M actually does stop it. So, I was incorrect. It does not need to be case sensitive. Just put chair, though, and it does not stop. So, case sensitivity actually is not an issue. So, go crazy with your cases, buddy. Alright, next one. Moving on. Stop tween by index. Now, since this is the only tween in the series, stopping with 0 will stop this tween. V, M stops it. If we change that number to 1, this tween is not at index 1, it's at index 0, so it will not stop. Stop tween by object reference. So right now, this will do nothing. It will not stop the tween because we're not passing through an object reference. So what we're going to have to pass through is the exact same object that we're putting into actor to move. So I'm just going to drag that right into object currently tweening on stop tweening by object reference and play that. Now it stops because it's the same object and it knows that. Lastly, stop tweening by object name. Now we haven't given this tween a name. It is currently set to none as it is by default. This tween name is also none. So they do match and it will stop. However, if we were to now name this to chair move and start this, it will not stop. So that's something you have to be careful about. If you are stopping tweening by tween name and you're not passing through a name and you don't give a name to any of your other tweens, they're all going to stop because they're all named none. So you're going to need to make sure that you're passing through the actual thing. I'm going to say chair move without the capitalization just to be sure of whether or not that is case sensitive. I thought it was, but I was proven wrong earlier, so let's see if that is the case. And it does not require case sensitivity. So, there you go. Again, go crazy. Now, when you stop a tween, it runs through its completed phase. So that means that if you have an object that is set to receive an onComplete message, then when you stop a tween, it is going to send that message. So let's demonstrate that by making a reference to self and putting that into onComplete. Then we can call event onComplete, and we will print a string that says this tween has completed. And we'll drag it out of iTween. We will stop all tweens with the M key, and we will play that. This tween has completed. So that means that you cannot restart this tween from where it was. In this particular case, it will start from where it was stopped and then continue on. However, if we were to do something like this, drag out a sequence and create a new variable of type vector, and we will set that vector to the current actor's location at the time when this is done, and we're going to want to do it once, and then we will pass new var as location from. So we can start this. Oh, sorry, I forgot to set off the actual tweening event. There we go. It will start, we'll stop it, and it will restart from its original location because we are using an unchanging vector variable to do it. So what if you want to temporarily stop a tween and then be able to pick it up later? Maybe pause and resume would be good words for that. Those are excellent words for that, and the reason for that is that's what we call it. So let's resume after we pause some tweens. Now, pause and resume uses all the same parameters that stop does, so I'm not going to go through each and every one of them. I'm just going to use object reference. So we will pause tweening by object reference, and we will resume by object reference. So we'll pause when I press the M key, and we will resume when I release the M key. Now, a resume will only work, obviously, if you've paused something. It will not restart a stopped tween. It will only resume a stopped tween that meets the parameters. So I'm going to plug in chair right to both of those, and we'll give this a go. Press the V key, it starts. Press the M key, it pauses. Let go of the M key, it resumes. Notice it does not start over back from where it was. It continues on with whatever it was doing. Now, someone asked me, as I was putting this together and getting some peer reviews, how would you stop a tween after doing so many loops? What if I only want to loop like 3 or 4 times and then I want to stop? How do I do that? Well, you use the messaging system event on loop section, and we're going to pass in the reference of self to on loop. So as we went over in the last video, number of loop sections is what you want to look at here. We can drag out a branch, and we can query the number of loop sections. So if number of loop sections is equal to, say, 3, then I want to stop this specific tween. So that will check every single loop section. Additionally, you could also pass in actor tweened as the object that is currently tweening. Both of these work because it is the same exact object that is being passed through both spots. Just want to point that out. So we're saying if after 3 loops, or after 3 loop sections rather, we have reached 3, then we will stop the tween. So I'm going to set this from back and forth to rewind, and I will play that. Let this go. Probably shouldn't have set it as 5 seconds, but we'll wait for this one. I have that Super Mario Brothers 3 theme song stuck in my head, not the theme song. But anyway, tween is completed. It snaps back, but it is done. If I were to set that to, say, back and forth instead of rewind, and change the tick type value to 2, this is less painful to sit through. Do that again. Goes forward, goes back, goes forward again, and it's done. So, that is how that messaging system works. How you stop, how you pause, how you resume tweens. The whole gamut. So, go forth and do a lot of great things. And do not forget to tell us about them on the forums. Thanks for watching.